Greetings everyone. A very warm welcome afternoon to the Masai Mara of Kenya. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Bungei. Look at what we have here. We have herd of elephants. This is super magical. Look at that magnificent tusk. It's long before I saw an elephant female with that kind of long tusk. This is very, very beautiful. Got lots of young ones, so this is a big breeding herd. So, and welcome to your live safari from the African bush here. Greetings once again and welcome to the beautiful Masai Mara. We have elephants here and very nice herd here. Lots of young ones. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Bungei. This is a very beautiful herd. Look at how peaceful they are. We have a very big matriarch there with big tusks. Super magical. Look at that small young one there. The calf is, I think, 2 months old. Actually missing the tail. I don't know what beat the tail. They look like they just come from the water right now. Those two are cousins. That small one is so playful, actually. I can see also the matriarch to the left. The other mother to the left also has a missing tail. I'm wondering whether this is a missing tail herd. So nice. They just came from the marshes. They're walking to the uplands. This is a routine that they always perform each and every day. Coming to the marsh and then leaving later to the uplands. Oh, look at that teeny tiny young. Super. Following mommy. That matriarch has big tusks, and it's super magical when you see that kind of matriarch. This is a big herd, and I'm suspecting this is bigger, a little bit bigger than the ones that we saw days before. So it's a very bright afternoon, so I'm gonna just turn around and watch them as they carry on their activity. So as I position, let me get you to a good position. Are you okay there, Bungei? Don't know what's happening with that family there. See, the young ones are trying to nurse. Rosalind, thank you for your question. How good is the elephant hearing? They have a good hearing aid. Despite them having big ears, they don't have good hearing aid like other animals, but the good sense of elephants comes from them smelling. So not that much of a good hearing, but at least for within about few meters, like 200, they can be able to hear. Although they're known to use the infrasound, which is low than what we can hear, even these elephants between themselves here, they can communicate without us hearing, despite us being too close. So I say their hearing is not as good compared to other animals. But the other is smelling, which is actually super nice. Going for a mud wallow. This is very, very nice and actually important for elephants because when they smear themselves with mud, it also gives them a protective layer which is important to keep off parasites. As you watch, this elephant in the mud wallow going to take you over to another safari vehicle.
Good afternoon and welcome to the western fringes of the Great Limpopo Transfrontier Park. We are sitting here with a herd of elephants, much the same as Tim was doing in the Masai Mara, some 1,600 kilometers away. My name is James Hendry. Hello. On camera today is Paul. There we are. And here, this herd of elephants is grazing very peacefully towards the west. It was a very foul morning weather-wise, and it's cleared up into a glorious afternoon. Please talk to us. You can do that using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Alternatively, you can send in any questions you might like to the email address kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. That's if you're a youngster, kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. If you're in your 19th year or below, you may use that email address. A very peaceful day in general out here because there hasn't been much wind. And the most notable thing that happened to me today was I stepped outside in preparation for this game drive and I heard my very first Diederik's cuckoo, which is back from its sojourn up into the northern parts of Africa, and it is now here to breed in the summer. And it goes a little bit like this. Tom, you say a day without elephants is like a day without the sun. Well, I take your meaning. Technically, you are, of course, incorrect, but yes, I take your meaning. Emotionally, one feels the same energetic, I suppose, kick that one gets from the sun from elephants. Unless you happen to be the tree that they're savaging, in which case it is quite the opposite. Let me go forward a bit so that we're not just looking at 15 bottoms walking through the woodland. Come on. I haven't got very far. Possibly not far enough. Let me just move a little bit further forward. I'll tell you why I've been a little reticent is that that little one there that you can see has been not very happy to see us. And I don't want to freak him out. Well, his mother's getting a little upset, so I'll just turn off and I think everything will calm down. There we go. That's it. All is fine. I think there are quite a few here. There are probably about 20 scattered about this ridge crest. And in fact, the big one that you can see behind there is a big bull. You see that one there, Paul? The biggest, tallest one there looks like a bull who's tracking the herd. Yeah, that's the one, center frame, behind the tree. To the right. Yeah, that big chap there, behind everyone else. So he'll be hoping one of these cows is an estrus, so that he can further his genetic legacy. Here he comes rolling on through. Now, let's see if he has an interaction with the rest of the herd. Often they don't really like it, but it'll be interesting to see. Oh dear. I think I'm talking nonsense. That isn't a bull. It's a cow. It's a big cow. An enormous cow. Yeah, no, it is definitely a cow. She is very clearly a lactating cow, no less. I shall have to clear that up. Well, I just have. There's a young bull on the road in front of us who's decided that he thinks that we should stop where we are. He gave us that instruction with a shake of his head.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the wonderful and diverse landscape which is Tualu Kalahari, and what a perspective you guys have there on this beautiful camel thorn. Absolutely incredible. Big nest. My name is Kyle and behind camera is Glenn. Welcome. Today we are going to change our perspective on things. We're going to take our time, go really slowly through the African bush, and we are going to change the way that we look and see this wonderful landscape. We're going to be looking for all the smaller things this afternoon. We're also going to be looking for a Cape fox den, or going back to a Cape fox den that we've located, and just doing a little checkup to see if we have an inhabitant that we could possibly take a sneak peek at. A beautiful little animal and a very special little fox species found within this area. But amazing camel thorn, and what an incredible view Glenn is giving us of this magnificent tree, supporting this huge sociable weaver nest. And this nest could be holding in excess of 300 plus birds, easily over 300. And you can see the material up close and personal now, individual little piece of grass, which have been collected by one bird, brought back to this big nest, and Niam, I've tried to inhabit this nest, not this particular one actually. The birds weren't too happy with me, so I decided no. But it is big enough to support a family, literally big enough to support a family. Ginormous, a really incredible structure, and something that we love looking at here at Tualu. So from here we're going to go down south, and we're going to follow up on that Cape fox den. Hopefully there's something there, but then along the way, like I said, we're going to be looking for all the tiny small things. So if you look over here, look at the branches, look in between the bark, look in between the leaves. What is hiding? What could we possibly find? There's always something to see in the African bush. You just need to look closer.
Our elephants have decided to go for a drink. Like the tiny one, so trying to drink using the trunk. But at this age, they have not yet adopted to using this trunk. The big mother there was drinking, but now has decided to go back to feeding, as they walk slowly, waiting for the little ones to keep up. So when they're grazing and browsing, sometimes they have to stop. Marley, thank you so much for your question. These elephants lose their tail from biting from other elephants. Sometimes when they're play fighting, you find that they bite each other, and sometimes because they have teeth, those molars can be sharp, and sometimes they bite off the tail, or maybe predators. But my big guess is the other elephants, when they are actually fighting or sometimes even playing. It's decided to go on a drink now. At one goes, when an elephant is exhausted or maybe when it's thirsty, can drink up to 170 liters of water. Can you imagine that? So they'll use the trunk, fill up the trunk, and then blow the water into their mouth. Some water there on your body. It's another means of cooling off. She has very beautiful tusks. We hardly see elephant females with that kind of tusks. And to see this is so super special. Actually, this is one of the longest tusks I've seen the female here in Masai Mara. I hope also that the young one, the calf there, will adopt and get that kind of tusk, because I think that's a strong gene she has. It is a big family with lots of young ones, so the females are walking slowly while the young ones are being playful. See, that one is actually bending on his knees to bite off and get the grass. Super cute. Those two now are being playful, trunk wrestling. The young one is trying to engage them also. Like, what are you doing, guys? And they carry on with the activity again. So when elephants communicate, they communicate in a very low frequency sound. So Kobe, Mom has decided to call them to follow them. And as we watch these guys walk up the hills, we're going to send you over to another safari vehicle.
It is I again here, and just to make sure that everybody heard me the first time, that big animal over to the left there that Mpho will now show you, he's not actually a bull at all. I made a mistake. It's a big cow, and she's got to be at least 50, 52 years old, maybe even 60. No youngster anymore. And remember that elephants don't stop growing until just before they die. Shelley, elephants are absolutely terrified of ants. If an elephant sees an ant, it has to lie down for at least an hour before it's able to calm its heart rate and continue with its life. No, Shelley, it is not true that elephants are afraid of ants. I think the legend was that they're afraid of mice, and I don't know where it comes from. We've often discussed it on the show, though. And no, they're not afraid of mice. They are, however, afraid of things that you wouldn't expect them to be afraid of. So if a pack of wild dogs came running along here, the elephants would gather together, they'd surround the youngsters, and they would treat the wild dogs as though they were a genuine threat to the safety of the herd. But that is ridiculous, because there is no ways that a pack of wild dogs of even 20 or 30 strong could take down an elephant. They might try and take down a very little one that was on its own, isolated from the rest of the herd, but it would be so unusual as to be inexplicable. And so I don't really understand why it is that they do show such fear for animals like wild dogs, even leopards. If they see a leopard, they'll behave as though they're being threatened. So I don't think they're afraid of ants and mice, but they certainly do appear to be afraid of all other biggish predators. Even human beings, if they see us on foot, they get very afraid. And remember that an animal's fear response can often be aggressive. And so when animals attack human beings, or when elephants attack people, it's normally because they're afraid of them. I'm just going to sneak a little forward Make life a little bit easier for Paul and improve your view. Rachie, they don't sleep for many hours, but a bit like with human beings, the older the elephant, the less it's likely to sleep. And so I think the adults sleep for about 3 or 4 hours a day, if that. And the youngsters probably a little bit more. How's that? Right. And Paul says this is all right. Here we shall stop. There's a little one. Now trying to take some leaves off the trees. I suspect he's the youngster belonging to that enormous cow. She's just coming up behind him. That's probably his mum. Let's see if she teaches him anything. Look, my son, this is how you take off the smallest piece of leaf. So sweet, what a little lesson being delivered.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to And Beyond Ngala. My name is Eric, and behind camera is Owen, so he's back with us after abandoning us for Pridelands. We had a beautiful shot of a red-crested koran that's just gone behind this bush over here that we wait. It's popping out on the road there, Owen. So it's almost an unobstructed view. He's going to dash across the road quickly. See the very distinct black belly, and then look at how well it camouflages with the mottling and the patterning on its back. So if it weren't for that black, it would be such a difficult bird to find. And with all of that black there, makes it a male, so this would be his territory, and he's probably out and about looking for something to feed. But if there's any chance of a female, he might give us some sort of display, which we have been seeing more and more frequently. And they'll literally just jump into the air, they fly up, and then they just fold in their wings and plummet straight down to the ground. So it must be a very energy-consuming thing to try and attract a mate, but it must work if they keep doing it. I must say it's very good to be back behind the driver's seat. It feels like it's been such a short time since I was last here, but the reserve has completely changed. I mean, we've got rain, there's some clear signs of spring, the trees are flowering everywhere. It's absolutely beautiful. And so I can't wait to be with you for the next week, and hopefully we find some really exciting things.
Just vegetation today. No animals. Vegetation and climate. That's what we're going to be focusing on. There's actually 3... There we go. There's one. There's 3 kudu bulls moving through this thick vegetation here. And they all seem to be similar age, around about 5 odd years. You can actually determine somewhat of the kudu's age by looking at the horn growth or development, especially on how many twists it has. Beautiful. Magnificent animal. And I mean, look how it disappears in that brown vegetation. So just our close proximity to them, they didn't really enjoy us. Lovely horns, yeah, beautiful horns. And those horns will grow, throughout the animal's life, and as age creeps up on it, so does the horn development and growth start to slow down as well. They are inside there. No seeing them. Unfortunately, we're going to have to look for some more, Glenn. Why don't we take a look at those beautiful mountains? Fantastic.
So here we have two lionesses. They look so tired. They look like they had just come from a hunt and then missed out. Maybe a failed attempt. Now resting in the open. The second lioness has a tracking collar mounted on her. Those tracking collars are so important for research. So simply because they want to record data of how the large predator population trends, predator mortality, predator dispersal, general ecology, wildlife and human-wildlife conflict, and also predator genetics, which is very, very important. And after that, these collars are always removed from them. So what helps them follow this by using the collar is a free application called the Cyber Tracker. So these two lionesses look like they want to go maybe for a rest. I'll sit here and wait to see what they're up to, and then in the meantime we'll take you over to another safari vehicle.
We're having the most amusing time here watching this little fellow lying on the road. And every so often he threatens to get up and then it becomes all too much and he just flops down and goes back to sleep. Now, it's very unusual to see adults doing this, but youngsters, it's quite frequent. He's done the face plant. He's kind of sat on his haunches and then flopped back over. Here we go. Oh my goodness. That is wonderful. And I don't know which one his mum is. I think it's probably the cow, not too far in front and to the left of him. But she'll shout at him if he gets, or if he falls behind. Yes, Charmaine, a very interesting comment I had from a viewer the other day, the best kind of communication from a viewer, where we were discussing the hairs on the jaw of an elephant. So if you look at an elephant, it looks like they've got a little sort of whiskery beard, basically like whiskers. And I remember this from my own days as a horseman. You used to be encouraged to chop those off on a horse. And this chap, whose name I have forgotten, which is to my eternal discredit, you know, he's a horseman, and as a horseman, he has learnt that those whiskers on the horse seem to play some kind of sensory role in picking up chemical signatures from potentially toxic plants, and probably potentially plants that have all sorts of different nutrients in them that the horse might need. And I'm pretty sure he suggested to me that what the elephant's hairs were for was the same thing. It seems entirely logical and entirely plausible. So I do think, I don't know if that's how they can tell whether something's toxic or not, but I'm very sure that they can tell what's toxic and what isn't. And those whiskers might be a way a way that they pick up the chemical signatures of potentially toxic plants or potentially helpful plants, depending on what nutrients they need. Let's go forward a bit. We'll stay with these chaps a little bit longer before we move on. See what else they do.
Seems like a nice elephant activity down there. Now a lion has repositioned, looking the other direction. Seems like they're hungry, and I'm sure later on, as it cools down, they will try and go get something. Being two mature lionesses like this, they'll be able to bring down a fully grown zebra, a fully grown wildebeest, and sometimes if it's a buffalo and maybe a lame, sickly off, they can be able to bring them down, the two of them. But not far from here, we have also another lioness, but it's hiding in the bushes, or rather in the long grass. We can't really see them. Look like she's super tired. The sun is so hot for her. That tells you she was trying to hunt. We are currently not far from the water area here. It's like animals that were coming to drink. These lions tried to ambush them. Now, if you look closely in the back of their ears, you see that they have a black spot there. It's also important to know that that is called a false eye or a blind spot. They play a vital role because if another lion or something that wants to attack this lion from behind will think that those are eyes, but actually not real eyes. So he's panting heavily, breathing heavily. They can see so far. It's only that we can't see what's hiding in the grass because the grass is too tall here. So it could be there might be something walking out there. The other one is walking up. And I'm sure these two lionesses will lead us to something this evening. We'll still wait with them here and see what will happen. She's come a long distance because yesterday she was with a big male by the name of Splitnose, and it looked like she was about to mate, but I've actually been surprised seeing her just with the sisters here. So wondering what really happened. Or maybe some other male came and ousted their Splitnose out. So it's really, really interesting. Gone back to sleep. Look at where they're resting. How they blend in super well. So later on, as it cools off, these lions will be mobile. They'll be mobile, they'll go find something to eat, which is super nice to see.
We are here at Buffelshoek Dam, where there are three hippos, two really large ones and one slightly younger one. In fact, they were out of the water when we arrived, and it looked like we caught them doing something because they hurried in, but they were very far away from us. So maybe we just caught them when they were coming into the water. Always love to see a hippo out of the water, and you don't realize just how large they are until you see them like that. I suspect we have a little family here. The youngster, obviously that's very difficult to tell like this, but the youngster is pretty small. I think we might have a big male, female, and their offspring. Very, very nice. Now they've all ducked down. But very interestingly, is something else I wanted to show you here. Hi everyone, it's me, Trishala, with BK on camera this afternoon at Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. And the other bill, we're here in the northeastern corner. That's where Buffelshoek Dam is. And I want to show you the red-billed buffalo weaver that is building a nest right here. While we've been sitting here, we've been watching him go back and forth, back and forth. At the moment, he's not in there, but he's gone to collect some twigs to build that nest. So we've seen him fly off and then come back with rather large twigs in his beak, which is just awesome to see. So he'll be preparing for breeding and for the multiple females that he can accommodate in the various chambers of his nest. Hopefully he comes back so that we can see just how he does that. But in the meantime, we have our hippo. Perhaps they were out of the water. It's most likely they were out of the water because we had quite a lot of rain earlier. And with that much rain, their skin would have been quite moisturized even out of the water. So maybe they just spent some time. Well, there's a lovely family photo. Just gorgeous. I'm going to sit around here and see if that red-billed buffalo weaver comes back. If not, I'll move on.
Normali barabara imepiga kona. So these lions still look like they're tired, taking a big rest. So initially in the morning they were not around here. So that means that they tried to come after something and then missed out. Out of about 5 attempts, 1 or 2 might be successful. Or you're spooked by an aeroplane. I'm sorry. That tells you lions have very sharp ears. So the third lioness is actually hiding in the grass, sleeping in the grass. You can't really see it. But these two are just up on the termite mound. I'm sure these are the core of the Ololo. Sherry, thank you so much for your question. Which country has the largest population of lion? My good guess is Tanzania. Tanzania is very big. We have Serengeti. Serengeti is thrice the size of the Masai Mara. Masai Mara is about 10 square kilometers. We have various parks in Tanzania. So Tanzania has more lions than any other country. Back to our lionesses, they come from the Ololo pride. So they've at least split up a little bit, but we often see these lioness with a collar, but I'm sure they'll soon be regrouping with the other pride members. As we sit here waiting for another activity, let's send you over to another safari vehicle.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tumi from NBN Pila Private Game Reserve. Right behind the camera, we have Craig, and here we are with the lovely sighting of a giraffe. As you can see, they're all busy moving around, trying to browse. As you can see, a lot of these kind of trees, we call it acacias. Oh, look at the tongue. Look at the tongue of that one. Just look at that. Oh, lovely. You see how much longer the tongue can come out. And most of the trees are a bit more dry. She's trying to get more fresher leaves from these acacias. it's amazing how they can able to use their tongue and lips without getting hurt, which is lovely. The way also moving, it's so lovely, it's moving through to the green area, which is beautiful. Look, we have a beautiful afternoon now. It's been raining quite a bit earlier, but looks like we are start picking up a bit of wind, and all these animals start coming out now, trying to find some food for them. As you can see, quite a more giraffe right behind. As you can see, there's one on the right hand side, it's just a young male, and one on the left looks like one of a female. How can you tell? By looking on top of their horns, and then you can see this male has been, well, look, both of them are young males, because they are bald on top of their horns. Look at it's just chewing a cud nicely. And as you can see, a lot of giraffe around. We'll just hang around and see if there's anything move. We'll just say, or just we wait for everyone, just to see what's happening.
So we just managed to stumble across this hyena, and it hasn't been moving much at all in the last few minutes that we've been watching it. It's lying out in these nice flat bare area, and so it might have been lying somewhere close by when it started to rain, and now that the grass is damp, it's moved towards a nice open patch where it's not going to get worried by the wet grass. And it seems like it's looking very comfortable. See, it's actually got all of its legs tucked up directly below it. And it hasn't really been doing anything other than moving its ears and picking up its head. Lewis, you've asked a pretty good question, and I struggle to find an answer for that. You know, elephants have got some sort of intelligence for sure, the way that they can navigate and find a direction from one spot to another. With a hyena, though, they've also got their own intelligence in a way, and they are incredibly good at teamwork. And so a couple of individuals within the clan together can work out and solve problems quite easily to try and figure out how to chase the lions off the kill, or how to chase this leopard away, or how to work together as a team to hunt an animal that they're looking for or going after. And so it's quite a difficult one, and I think there's human intelligence, and then you have to look at animal intelligence quite differently, because we do different things on a daily basis. So we don't really, I don't think it's fair for us to measure human intelligence against animals, because then in theory we would be a lot more intelligent than what the animals were to offer. But if we were to try and live like a hyena, we wouldn't last a couple of days. We don't have the sophistication that the hyenas do. So it's a theoretical question that I don't think you can get a very practical answer. You need to look at it quite broadly.
It's also a topic of discussion we have very often, the intelligence of animals. I find it absolutely fascinating because it is so difficult to define. And I always just say that animals are as intelligent as they have to be out here. And they have different kinds of intelligence. And it's not, in fact, entirely impossible to ascribe a human IQ to animals, some animals. But it's very difficult to say whether it's a greater or lesser intelligence for what it's designed, if you know what I mean. Now, this youngster is taking advantage of a tree pushed over by a much bigger cow, who's now behind us and suckling her latest offspring. And he's taking advantage of the carrots that have been provided. By carrots, I mean the roots of the Combretum apiculatum that he's eating, the red bush willow. And the roots seem to be a particularly firm favourite amongst the elephants. Let me just reverse back slightly. Tay, elephants potentially live for about 65 years. And if you swing to the left then, Paul, you'll get the one that's suckling there. I'm just going to be quite quiet because I absent-mindedly started singing a song while we were off air. And that particular cow who's suckling her baby took offence, lifted her head and shook it at me, so I shut up and apologised. I'm just going to keep my voice nice and soft when I speak about or to her. It's very sweet to watch. I always think it looks so difficult for an animal like that to suckle. The angle always looks so tricky. Was that nice? Yes, yum. And we'll try again from the other side now. I don't know if you heard the little squeaking sound. I think that was the little one latching on. Oops. Mum just hit baby on the backside with a big stick. So I'll try and go back a little bit, Paul. Jon Snow, do elephants yawn? They must do. I don't know for sure. I mean, I feel like I've seen a lot of different kinds of animals yawn, including birds, but I'm not sure that I've ever seen an elephant yawn. But I possibly have. You know, it's quite difficult because their mouths are hidden all the time. Just talking about yawning makes me almost yawn. So you saw her lift her head there, and she's obviously not that keen to have us any closer, but she's relaxed again. If you ever happen to find yourself driving in the Kruger Park, or say Addo, or any of our other national parks where elephants exist, just be aware of that particular indication from an elephant. When it lifts its head like that, it's saying, "Thank you, that's close enough." And you do well to heed that warning. And you can hear them shuffling around in the grass. You can hear them breaking off the sticks.
Thank you.
Right, I think we'll leave these elephants and move on and see what else we can find.
From the elephant family to a family of bachelors here, we have about 4 elephant bulls, and it seems like the one in frame right now is the oldest bull. Now, elephant bull from the age of 11 to 17, they leave or disperse off from their elephant families, dispersing away from the matriarchs and the females. So then they join the big bulls. So these big bulls help them in the transition to become mature old bulls. Now, what happens to these young bulls, it's truly unknown. But this older bull really help them or aid them into getting more life experience. So some of these younger bulls sometimes they come back to join their families, but then they're moved or pushed off by the matriarchs. Oh, that one is going for a drink. Very interesting, I think. It's that time of the day when elephants need to drink. Yes, thank you so much for your question. Elephant can sense danger through their feet. There's some vibration. Of course, when elephants communicate, they feel the vibration on their feet, and they're able to wander off or move off from a danger-prone area. That is another way that elephant can communicate also. So it's important to note that they can also get or sense from their feet. That's a young bull there also drinking. Seems like they have to drink before they go up to the mountain. Back to old bull here. He seems like he's so much determined in drinking and also cooling off, splashing water on his body. So those young bulls, or rather small bulls that accompany this big bull, we call them askaris, which they'll always follow the big bull. So whenever you see a big bull, we look at within the perimeters and see the younger bulls. As we wait and watch these elephants drinking, we're going to send you over to another safari vehicle.
Welcome. We are watching these two beautiful Wallbacks eagle. It seems like they're on a honeymoon phase. You can see their nest there. They've been calling while we were watching them. Hi everyone, my name is Norman Sanem Chauke. Welcome to Eco Training Pride Lands Conservancy. We are live in the African bush. Welcome. It is a beautiful weather here at Pride Lands. We just had some rain this morning, and that's one of the reasons we probably were not out and about wandering in the bush. If you remember the other day, I think it's the day after yesterday, we were with this animal, and I just happened to mention how in my culture, which is Tsonga or Shangaan, from far north of the country, just outside Punda Maria Gate, that when we normally start seeing these beautiful birds coming back, since they are our summer migrant, coming this side to breed. If you look just underneath the bird that said it's zooming now, this is like a nice nest. One of the things was, I mentioned it was normal when we start seeing them, we all get excited. And the reason is that we know that sooner the rain is coming. And just a day after that, we had rain here at Pride Land. It's just amazing the wisdom that indigenous local people had back in the days. It is really, really beautiful.
How wonderful that we've stumbled upon some elephants. A nice big breeding herd. Really doubling down on the eating. I think the rain from this morning must have made everything nice and juicy. Makes me so happy to spend this time with them. Ian, that's a very interesting question. You'd like to know if elephants ever get hiccups. I really don't know. I can't say I've seen an elephant hiccuping. And can't say I've read about it either. But a hiccup is a spasm in the diaphragm, and they do have a diaphragm, but perhaps there's a lot of other things that have to go into it, maybe size, etc. Maybe it's too large to hiccup. I don't know, but that is a very interesting question that I'm just going to have to find out the answer to. Oh, this is lovely. This is Fang's herd. Fang is behind the vehicle with her newest addition. Very, very nice. She's going to pop out on the other side, hopefully. Now, Fang is a herd that we've followed for a long time. We know this herd very well. A really relaxed herd. Always give us great sightings. Just want to show her to you quickly. There she is, moving off behind us. Just mind our aerial there. You can see she's got a little one with her, having a little bit of a drink. Just awesome. Really, really nice. I love a good elephant sighting. Absolutely love it. Look at this. Sometimes they can be so comfortable with you. And they'll come feed really close to you. I think it's quite an honor for elephants to feel comfortable with us like this. It's almost like there's a bit of trust. Listen to the sounds. Unmistakable sounds of elephants moving through the bush, of feeding. Comes another big female, very nice. And there's that little one. Oh, this has just been a really, really awesome sighting. I'm gonna sit with these Ellies and just enjoy it.
Beautiful little bird here in the tree, or on the branch. This is a common fiscal, previously known as a fiscal shrike, and one way in how we can identify it is by looking at that very developed bill and looking at the end of it. If you look very carefully, you're going to see a hook at the end of that beak, and that beak is used for capturing prey. Prey would vary from insects, small birds, small lizards, and even rodents. I've physically witnessed this bird go down from a perch position just like it is at now, flying down, boom, grabbing something, and then just emitting this sharp squealing sound. So I thought, what was it? Readjust the vehicle. This bird had caught a little shrew. Very, very aggressive bird and very hungry for a wide range of food items. They've got a common name here in South Africa called Jackie Hangman, or the butcher bird. It's because they've got this behavior of capturing items, killing it, and then impaling the item on a branch or a tree. It's the foot structure that doesn't allow it and then to hold onto the bird while it feeds, and also this is a sign to warn of other individuals within the area. In other parts of South Africa, if you look very closely just above its eye, you're going to see a white stripe. In other parts of South Africa, the bird does not possess that white stripe. This is a subspecies called the subcoronatus, and which has that white lining. It almost looks like it's got white eyeliner running at the top of its eye. So we've got another bird in the area called a fiscal flycatcher. Oh, birds and their names. That looks and resembles this bird quite closely. But what we'll be looking at is the difference between beak shape, body build. So the beak shape of the fiscal flycatcher would be a lot thinner, a lot more petite, let's say that. The build of the flycatcher would be smaller than this robust, very large, chunky individual. And then as well as the tail. The tail of the fiscal flycatcher would not be as long and as thick as this beautiful common fiscal. And then if you can look where the bird's shoulder would be, that white line that you can see in view would not be so high up on the bird. The fiscal flycatcher also possesses that white little wing bar, and it's very tricky sometimes, especially when you start birding, to actually separate these two species. But looking at Bill, he was like, okay, you're done. Wow, how incredible. He's just gone down. Let's see if Glenn, if you can find it. Just go down to the ground. He's gone to catch something. So he was sitting on a perch position, looking for insects, looking for any movement, and he just dropped onto the ground there. Let's just see if we can pick him up. Because if he has got something, he'll kill it. So what he'll do is use that sharp end of the beak, and he'll actually impale his prey item before taking it up and eating it.
Still with this lovely herd, just enjoying it. It's a really nice temperature at the moment. When we started drive, it was about 27 degrees Celsius, 81 degrees Fahrenheit. And now it's slightly cooled, and there's this light breeze, and this herd is so relaxed. It really puts you at ease when you sit and watch them. That's why I love it so much. It's apart from the fact that I think that they can be really, really entertaining. I'm sure you think so too. Ooh, that one's tusks are very, very nice. Quite thick. I don't know if you can hear, there's these slight... It's all of them farting. Kat, do you like to know, how do elephants sense danger? Through their feet? They can only sense danger through their feet if whatever is causing the danger is, or whatever is dangerous to them, is producing some sort of infrasonic frequency sound. So there is a thought that maybe when it thunders, there's some infrasonic sound that gets produced there, and that travels quite well through the ground, infrasonic sound in general. So when we say that elephants can pick it up under their feet, or if you hear that, it's because the feet, especially the front feet, lie just almost directly underneath the ears. And so it helps to channel whatever vibrations they're feeling up through to the ears. But a lot of danger does not produce infrasonic sound. So we can't just generalize that they can sense danger that way. But they can be alerted to danger from other elephants and would be able to pick that infrasonic signal up through the feet. But it's definitely not something we can say generally. If they feel that a little calf is in danger from some lions, then they're not going to feel that infrasonically. Lynette, you'd like to know how many bones are in an elephant's body? I do not know, Lynette. But I'm sure that there is somebody out there who will let you know, or I could just find out for you. But no, I don't know offhand. Definitely not. The general body plan of a mammal is the same, or pretty much the same. So you'll find elbows, knees, ribs, etc. as something that you'll find in all mammals. In fact, things like limbs you share across the animal, the whole spectrum. So it wouldn't surprise me if an elephant had as many bones as us, give or take a few, of course.
This one. Look what we have here. Look what we have here. Such a beautiful, gently animal.
We've noticed that here in the Mara we have elephant females or matriarchs with awkward looking tusks. Now look at this one. The tusks are almost locking at the tip. They've actually met and locked, which is very, very interesting to see. A little while earlier we saw an elephant with very long tusks, and then we have another one with actually different looking tusks, which is important to know that also elephants have dental formula or dental problem that's like us humans. Find other people with short teeth, long teeth, just the same as these elephants here. Look at that female elephant there. Look at the tusk. The one to the right is actually carved and very white on the inner side. It seems like that is the mostly used tusk, but the other one is bending downwards. So that when you're hiding or wanting to know what herds you've been looking at, so those are the most significant things that we look at when you watching elephants. The tusk formation, the ear pattern, and the face, the size. That is what Ellie, thank you for your question. Female elephants will come to first mating when they're about 8 or 9 years old. That is the first time they'll come into mating. Now, that is when they'll come to reproduce, 8 to 9 years old. This is a big family with lots of young ones. At this time of the year, we've seen lots of elephants with calves. See that matriarch there also looks like the one we saw a little bit earlier. Look at the tusk. So it means that this is the same gene pool. So my guess is she is the daughter of this female here, because the tusks are blocked just like this other one that we're going to see just about now. Look at her tusks there. They also lock on the tip. So these are closely related. And because of the gene pool, most elephants have the same gene pool. And of course, like if we have albino in one family, you find that in the generation, they'll also have an albino. These elephants have also personalities like us humans. You find that there's some people who are angry, excited, very friendly, just like elephants. They're one of the most intelligent animals, including chimpanzees and dolphins. You see elephants using their trunks to aid them to perform some tasks. Like what you see now, them pulling off the grass and putting them in the mouth, and sometimes dusting off the grass and using the tusk sometimes to dig. I've seen them felling down trees and using their tusks to peel off bark. Look at that tiny They say yes, that can happen, but not very small trunk. But yes, it can happen, but it's not commonly seen. But yes, it can happen. As this elephant walk past, we're going to find something else in this savannah. Very, very cute looking elephants. They're slowly walking to join the rest of the families. And remember, when they mix with the families, they also follow their matriarchs. So even though they're this big, they still follow the matriarch's command. So they're walking up towards the uplands, so I'll still find something else for us to see. It's so cool. I'm expecting to have some lion activity. We're in the prime area of the River Pride, so we're trying to see if we can find the mother with the 4 little cubs.
We are still meandering through the vast and wild landscape of Tswalu Kalahari. We are going to go slightly west. We're going to use this link road going west, and then about another 2 kilometers we're going to turn down south, and we're going to do a little check on that Cape Fox den to see what is happening there. And then yesterday myself and Glenn actually found a brand new pale chanting goshawk nest, so we're going to check and see if that site is active and if that pair is actively building and maintaining that nest, because if they are, we are going to be in for a nice unraveling of a beautiful story on how these birds utilize this environment and also go through successful breeding, which would be really nice. Oh, a sense of what? Could you just go with the question again, please, FC? A sense of humor. I would love to hope so. Because it would make my sense of humor a lot more funnier. It's a very tricky thing. We spoke about the other day if lions, have a sense of remorse or if they feel sad. I'm sure they do have some primitive thoughts and emotions, but sense of humor, it'll be very tricky to gauge and really understand if an animal does have a sense of humor. Definitely your higher species, dolphins, might show somewhat of a sense of humor. Your higher species of primate as well. But the large majority, I think they're governed by very, very simple laws and parameters, which obviously keeps them thriving through this environment. Beautiful nest. Oh, wow. Let's just give a stop there very quickly. Within a beautiful shepherd's tree, we can see the white-washed bark of this magnificent and life-giving species of tree. And the shapes that we find these nests in here at Tswalu are tremendously diverse. We see so many different shapes while meandering through Tswalu. We've seen shapes that look like the map of Africa. There's a shape of a nest that looks like a bear. It's just always sometimes nice to just stop and appreciate the shape and how they've taken form within inside these beautiful, magnificent organisms. Really incredible. Magnificent. Can see the dominating vegetation of a 3-thorn on the right-hand side of the picture, creating a really nice habitat. So all your smaller species of hares, lizards, geckos, rodents will all seek refuge in this tangled mess of vegetation. And that's what we're going that's what we are busy doing, is we're driving very slowly and we're trying to pick up on any movement where we can stop and wait, and hopefully we can see something unique, something different, which Tshwane has a lot of. Amazing. All right, shall we carry on, Glenn? Do the community nests kill the tree? So if you take a look how the nest has been made, so if you take a look, the majority of the tree is actually dead. I don't want to sound morbid about that, but it is carbon that has been extracted out of the atmosphere and then has been put down into this magnificent structure. So where the nest has been physically built is within the largest sections of this tree, and the larger branches of this tree obviously able to support the immense weight. The parts that are alive and thriving is these beautiful green appendages right over here. And you can see how this flower, how this tree is actually in flower right now. Look at that. Hello, sorry, we didn't know you were home. They might have been just sitting and resting, but the tree is actually in flower now, which obviously gives us a bit of advantage when it comes to identifying trees. So they don't create the nest where they are covering or basically detrimentally affecting the leaves. The leaves are the part of the tree that obviously is responsible for photosynthesis, and if they're not covered, the tree is fine. So no, they don't kill the trees. Branches will break when we do have a lot of rain in a short period of time. Then these nests would swell up, they would absorb a lot of water and become much heavier. And that's when we would find branches and limbs then breaking off from their immense weight through the rainy period. But just like that, they are living harmoniously, something that we could take from nature. Living harmoniously, living together is a very important way on how this planet functions and thrives. So no, it doesn't hurt the tree. There is some beneficial aspects. So all the Glenn, can you see at the bottom of the tree here at the patch, just underneath the tree itself? If we get it in close and personal over here, let me just walk around here very quickly. Oh, look over here. Somebody was digging. Nice short claws. That would have been a porcupine coming in here and scratching for any roots and bulbs. Obviously the largest rodent that we have in southern Africa. But getting back to my point, you can see there's a lot of poop, a lot of droppings that have been dropped by these beautiful birds. So if you think about this, this is nutrients, very important elements that can later be used by this big, beautiful tree. And so when these birds drop all their droppings, the droppings land over here, and once we have rain, all that stuff seeps down into the soil and eventually allows the tree to absorb it. And it has a beneficial aspect to the tree. We have found that here in Tshwane, through the years of documenting these very complex social systems of these trees with the birds, with multiple other organisms, that the tree possessing nests actually has a higher leaf count because of this stuff. This is the foundation of everything. You need this in order for all of this to thrive. So really amazing. Working in harmony and helping each other out. And this is how it all works. Beautiful. But when we do see some unique shaped nests, myself and Glenn will definitely set it up for you. I will show you, maybe it'll be around about Valentine's Day. Then I'll show you a Valentine's Day one. Ooh, yeah. If we go through that very scary thought of a wild and rogue bushfire, we are in a very high fire area, and from big lightning storms or somebody unfortunately throwing a cigarette out, we obviously don't, that's a big no-no when we're out here. We do have wildfires coming through here, and if you look at the vegetation is green. Although it's green, it's still got a lot of fuel in it that actually is flammable. And this nest, unfortunately, if it had to catch light, it would go up very quickly. It's very flammable, it's dry material, so the rate at which that would burn would be tremendously fast. But let's hope that doesn't happen. Tshwane's also got plans and policies and procedures in place in case of the unlikely effect of a fire. We've got a team that's especially dedicated, that knows what they're doing, the equipment that can deal with that unlikely and unwanted activity.
I have arrived at the house of Misi, aka the den of hyena, where there is one hyena in residence currently. Good day, hyena. Now, it has been so long since I've been here that I'm not entirely sure who that is. But perhaps it is Hart. Is it? Might be. Let's have a look. I don't think she's suckling. Hart, of course, has got the newest cubs, as far as I'm aware. Never met them. Corky's got one cub. Yep, Corky's got one cub. Pretty sure that's not Corky. And Ribbon has two. And they're obviously all still inside, doing their afternoon sleep. Maybe they'll come out for tea shortly. I think it's worth sitting here for a little while. The other thing you can hear here, you can hear here, you can hear here, it's the same word, isn't it, is the call of the ground-scraper thrush. Which I can't see. So peaceful. Can anyone confirm that this is in fact Hart the hyena? Many of you who are regular viewers will know that I have a, I suppose, unreasonable dislike of putting two H's in the word hyena. It's not a hyena, it's a hyena. Well, the other day, I heard a South African called it an hyena. So, the right number of H's, just in completely the wrong place. An hyena. No, Warren, they don't battle for dens, because if there was a battle, the hyenas would eat the warthogs. So, no, they don't battle for dens. I think a big hyena female would have absolutely no trouble evicting a group of warthogs. I don't think the warthogs would want to hang around and find out who would win. If warthogs came here, however, and there were no adults, and for some inexplicable reason the place didn't stink of hyena, and a warthog boar stuck his head down into a hole like that and found some baby hyenas, I suspect he'd probably do some damage to them, if he could get at them. But I don't think a warthog would come around here and think this looks like a good place to live, because it's relatively smelly even to us. Thank you very much, Michael Fleetwood. You say this is Hart. So there is a little baby here of hers. Two babies, I think. And so, yeah, although it's relatively smelly to us, it must be extremely smelly to something like a warthog, which has a sensitive nose. I just think that they would try and find somewhere else to live. There are plenty of termite mounds with holes in them that don't have the same kind of terrifying squatters already. Way in the distance I can hear some thunder. sky. Here's the radio. Ruining the ambience of our sighting. There we go, I've shut it up. Right, well, we're not going anywhere. And Paul and I will wait and see if the babies come out.
I think that is a great idea, and I'm sure after this morning they would love to come out and have a bit of a play. We're also waiting for somebody to come out here. There's a lizard. I promise there is a lizard in there. It's popped its head out every now and then. So I haven't gotten a great look, but it may be a rough-plated lizard. It's quite cute. It pops out just there in the bottom left corner. So now we're on lizard watch. Also, the question about how many bones are in an elephant's body really got me thinking. So then I was like, no, I have to know. So I checked. About 350 bones. When humans are sitting at 206. Those are a lot more bones than us. But then they also have more vertebrae than us and about just under double the amount of ribs as us too. But that's really, really cool. Can't say I've ever looked at the number of bones of an elephant before. That's why I love some of your questions. Well, all of your questions really, but some of them really kind of get me curious about something that I haven't thought about before. And it's not just that you want to know so that we can tell you, but it spikes a curiosity. I really, really like that. Hello. There it comes. I'm so glad it popped out for us. Will you show us your whole body? Hidey hole like this is great for a lizard, and if you look at the actual log, it's one that's been pushed over by an elephant. And we've always talked about how when an elephant does that, it plays a really good, a very large ecological role in creating spaces for other creatures. And here's a really good example of that. It looks quite small. And just showing us its lovely lips and that eye. Julia, you say it's camera shy. I think you're right, Julia. Although I can't see its pupil in its eye, I feel like it's giving us the side eye. What is this? I've not seen this type of thing before. Little does it know that thousands of people are watching it right now. Perhaps I shouldn't say that too loud. It'll just make it even more camera shy. Very cool. I like finding these little gems with you guys. I'm going to move on to find more.
Proper action going on here. Everyone's out. Now, from what I can tell, I thought Hart's youngsters had been born here, but clearly they were not. They were born somewhere else and got relatively big away from this den and then came here. Because unless I'm very much mistaken, We've got Hearts 2, then Ribbons 2 are the two biggest ones we can see, and Corkies is the tiny little thing, just starting to lose the black fur. Cool. Very nice to see them all again. A whole heap of them. And here comes the little one to join them. Doesn't want to be left out entirely. Now, the last time I was here, it was a particularly miserable winter's morning, but they gave me such a display. Ribbons 2, herring around the place at 100 miles an hour. And now it's playtime. Slow start to playtime, just doing some sniffing and biting. Obviously, always biting. Slowly, Ribbons 2 are going to start exploring more and more away from the den. How old are they now? They must be 4 months? June, July, August, September. 4 or 5 months? I've forgotten exactly when they were born. I'd love to know where Hearts were born, because it weren't here. Oh, Linda, they are very, very precious indeed. And the two oldest ones are now at the age where the vehicle is very fascinating to them. And they will start chewing on bits and pieces of it. But the littlest one is a bit nervous still. Wants to join them. Oh, here we go. No, not quite. So you would have heard a noise on the vehicle there. That was one of them trying to remove a piece of it. Cleverest of Hearts 2 continues to feed, knowing that it must take every opportunity it can. Just great fun. Now, I don't know if anyone's managed to confirm this or not, but it looks to me like Ribbons 2 are both boys, if I'm not mistaken. Cactus, they start anal pasting from now. That little one will anal paste, the very small one. As soon as there's a protruding piece of grass or something, it'll start anal pasting on it. So pretty much as they come out of the den. Oh, sweet. I think what's so nice about this as well is the glorious fanfare of birds all around us. Coqui francolins and crested francolins, Cape turtley doves. Gosh, there's a hell of a thing. It looks quite dangerous to me. In fact, it looks extremely dangerous. World's most powerful mammal jaws. Careful, buddy. You can do yourself a serious injury. It is quite something. If you listen very carefully, you can hear the two that are suckling, squabbling slightly.
Oh, look what we have here. We are sitting with these buffaloes. This seems a little bit skittish. I just saw, not far from here, a lion track where I think maybe there was a little bit of interaction between these animals and the lion. However, I'm not really sure because I was not here. But you can see the mood of the whole herd. It's very skittish and like very curious to see what's around. You can see the one that was just right there still horning in that bush. It's a young bull. Everyone is just like, standing and looking at us, watching their back as the herd moves slowly. I think they'll go to Ndlovu Dam in that direction more or less to have a drink. Look at that young bull just feeding, making the most of the dry grass. Soon we'll be having some nice shoots of green grass. It's very chilled. So since in the morning we're not out, it's a very beautiful weather for animals as well. But this is not the weather that you probably expect animals to be more about so much. Just because it's not hot, it's just very chilled. So animals tend to like mostly to chill, sit down, especially with buffaloes. Like chewing a cud would be like mostly their thing, which is very good. We saw some tracks of leopards, elephant tracks, like everything it's new, but yeah, it's a little bit quiet at the moment. You can see the last guy just following at the back. Oh, actually that's a cow buffalo. Very curious, coming to investigate. So we're losing the sight. I'm going to just slowly move forward and see if we can try and get a better visual of these animals. So the herd is slowly moving through the block. Not really clear. It's a little bit thick here where we are now, but we're just gonna chill around here with these animals and see if we can still get a better angle to view them.
We've got a very good angle of our animals. 2 of them are coming down towards the car. In fact, 3 of them are now almost under the car. The little one has become brave and decided that it would like to be quite close to us. I wonder if they like my yellow socks. Do you like my yellow socks? Unfortunately, they're so close that Paul actually can't get the camera onto them. One is now, you can hear, tickling the high lift jack. While hearts too continue to suckle. Its bravery and ran back. There we are. Doesn't really know who he wants to play with. Well, Mr. Silent, do good. The front leg seems to be a function of 2. The first is stamina. I don't really understand why, but wildebeest are built in the same way, for example. Topi are as well. And it seems to be advantageous if you want an animal to run for a long time. And so, hyenas do have tremendous stamina. And I used to think that it meant that they would sacrifice speed, but while hyenas definitely are not very fast, wildebeest are extremely fast. So I'm not sure that you sacrifice that much speed for it. The other reason is that it provides a very strong fulcrum around which the center of gravity for the hyena can move. And so when it's biting down on something, it's able to use its whole mass almost and to tear. So if it flops, because of the way the weight is distributed, it's able to exert a greater force when it bites and pulls on things, apparently. I did read something about that, but I'm afraid the physics of it escapes me slightly. Anyway, so those are the main reasons. They also carry enormous jaws and powerful chewing muscles, and that needs to be supported. And I think that the heavy neck and shoulders help with supporting those muscles. And so those are the reasons why they look like they do. Now, come down to these 2 if you don't mind, and Paul. It's quite interesting here is that, of course, the baby, the really little one, is Corkies. And Corkies is the least dominant, probably, certainly in this lot. And Ribbons, standing next to her, probably a her, I think, maybe a him, is, super dominant because they're the offspring of the matriarch. and yet they're being very gentle with the littlest one. This mountaineering is almost certainly going to result in some kind of tumble back into the hole, which will be very funny for us. Oh, very elegantly done. Most impressive. Everything is calm now. Not a great deal of racing around. Lots of suckling. A very pleasant way to spend an afternoon. The addition of the woodwind section has now occurred in the orchestra with the piping of the black-crowned chagra. And now the little one is probably feeling a little hungry. Oh, some beautiful light has now popped out onto the top of the mound. And so I think we'll just stay here and take some pictures.
We're still right here with this big herd of buffaloes. What I'm really starting to like now is how the sun as well is starting to light on this animal. So basically we starting to have that, golden light from the African sun. They're still busy, as we can see, busy grazing, slowly making their way to Ndlovu Dam, I think. And just because of the whole general direction, you can see it's more or less like from west towards east direction. And that's where the water is. There's no other water source from this point where we are now. Not sure if you can hear as well. There's some oxpeckers that are calling at the background. But let's look at this champ here. Let's look at this bull here. Not sure if you can see on his boss, he has like something that looks like, a little bit reddish. That's actually a cambium layer, or it's a material from trees, and it's a clear indication that this animal had been rubbing itself or the boss onto the tree. As they slowly move towards the other direction. You can see how, and I'm not sure if you can actually hear the noise that they're making as they are foraging. Let's listen. It is just amazing how you can actually hear when they're removing and chewing as well. It's amazing how these animals behave. So one thing that I've seen with these animals, just when they are mobile, especially when you have like the whole herd and like, you know, this few bulls, the way they walk, you find like they'll have like, because bulls obviously plays a very big role in protecting the herd or being seen as the strong one, or try like it's in a male gene to protect the whole herd. So you see like, you know, a nice layer of the males in a certain line, and which what we just have seen now here on this screen, it was just only male walking and the whole herd just in the middle of, you know, most of the bull.
All right, Inside Voices. We've arrived at this potential Cape Fox den, and we've taken a careful look around the area, and there is lots of tracks. It's very difficult to see in screen, but the raised sections of soil that you see there are actually from the activity of the animal excavating or removing soil from the burrow system. You can see in shot there, just stay there, Glenn, just go in a bit more. You can see there's also scatter, the grass on your top right-hand view, there's some scat. And that's typical of them when they've got little dens, so that you have these small little latrines almost, and you don't want that inside your den. I've taken a look with my binos, and there's lots and lots of tracks, and you can actually see where the animal has been lying. It's actually made a nice depression within the sand where it's been laying and basking in the afternoon. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we sit here nice and quietly and we can capture a little sight of this very shy and really seen little animal. Really beautiful. And I mean, they're tiny, weighing only between 2 and 4 kilograms. Pointy little ears, pointy snout, a beautiful silver-like appearance with a fluffy, fluffy little tail. It is just a pristine, gorgeous-looking little animal. It's one of those animals where you just look at them and you go, "Aww." That's how cute they are. But patience is key, and we'll keep on monitoring this area. And if something comes up, we are here ready and waiting for you guys. Also taking a look while we're sitting here, just keeping our ears open for any rare birds. It is coming to summer, and this is the period where we do have our summer migrants coming through Tswalu. Cuckoos and a few other species. The swallows are here already, so we're keeping our ears and our senses locked in to this environment.
Well, hopefully he'll shut them if a sandstorm comes along. What a hilarious joke I've just made. We are not moving from our hyena friends, because they are being very entertaining as usual. The littlest one setting to sharpening his or her vicious little teeth on whatever stick happens to be available. The other two still having a little bit of a suckle. And the biggest two are now under the Land Rover again. I'm just going to have to quickly get on the radio. I'm not sure what the rule is. I'm just listening to the radio quickly. Ah, must be two people. Make your way, Cobus. Yeah, I can't copy you nicely, but just come to the old den off Philemon's cut line and just follow the road round. You'll see us. That little one just being too cute as it explores life. They always look so wobbly on their feet, don't they? No. Linda, it's a classic question and classic kind of hyena behavior that distinguishes them from leopards, or at least lions. They will not cross-suckle each other's cubs. And so, unlike in a lion pride, where if a lioness dies, if there's another lioness lactating, she'll feed the youngsters and they'll survive. In an elephant herd, an orphan will be adopted, sometimes I think even by an unrelated female, whereas here, if, say, Corky or Ribbon were to die, no one would feed these youngsters. We've now got one right next to the car here. And Paul, can you get him? Fascinated.
It's always nice when you're watching hyenas. And now here we have two giraffes that are courting each other. The male is trying to court the female to a mate, but then they are attracted by a lion that is lying on a termite mound. And then not far there's another male giraffe who tried a little bit earlier to get close to this couple, but then the big bull chased him off. So Bungei is panning slightly, and that giraffe is actually observing that lion sleeping on the termite mound. The teeny white spot is a big male lion lying in the open ground there. Look at him. He's cooling off his stomach. So the giraffe are staring at him, but he doesn't want to come any closer because he's already been spotted, but being himself there, he can't do anything to this fully grown giraffe. Now back to our giraffe. The female is actually giving this male a hard time, and he's trying to pursue her, but it seems like it's not going to be possible. He's trying to keep her off from this other younger male. Look at how dark he is. So as soon as he stops. So this courting can go even for 2 or 3 days until she's receptive and they mate. Look at how tall he is. Male giraffes are always taller than the female giraffes. I say the older, the darker. So these two, you can say that female there is a little bit younger. I'll put him to about 6 years old. So typically, The big mature bulls will walk from herds to herds, trying to see if there's females in estrus, and that is typically what has happened here. So he's been trying to court her, walking along with her for a little while, for about half an hour, but still concentrating on the lion, making sure that they don't lose sight of the lion. No, the lion is up, actually watching the giraffes. I think that's the reason this guy has decided to watch over. But no doubt he's been spotted. Look at how handsome he is. Lots of flies bothering him, that's why he's swishing off his tail. My big guess, this guy, oh look at him, he's split nose. Walking into the long grass. Not sure where he's going, but I think he wants to join over the River Pride. But I'm not sure if he'll be welcome because the River Pride have the young cubs. Back to our giraffes again. Look at that tower. Junior, thank you so much for your question. How long is the giraffe tongue? The giraffe tongue is about 45 centimeters. Their tongues are specially adapted for wrapping onto twigs and then browsing and pulling off leaves. A very dark bluish color tongue. I like the dark backdrop, like the grass, I like the hill backdrop, and I like the way these giraffes are standing in the open savanna. So the male is not going to let her walk closer to the other male. So this will typically be going on for at least a day or two. So they're just watching, making sure that the male is not close to them, far away, because they know there's a predator and might attack them soon. We're still going to wait here and watch these two courting each other as we send you over to another safari vehicle.
On this side, the courting had happened already. And we're back here with Mrs. Spotted Eagle Owl, sitting so peacefully with her precious treasure beneath her. I love seeing her. She looks so calm, so relaxed, almost like I think she's happy that she'll have a few little chicks soon. The courting would have been quite nice to see too, but it happens quickly. The male will bring her some food, and then they mate, and then just a little while later she'll lay some eggs. The male will still be bringing her food now. She won't leave the spot. The only time she'll leave is to defecate. It's been a couple weeks now since we've seen her, maybe 2 weeks, can't be sure. So we have a little more time left before we can expect the little Cebu eggs to emerge. Now they can lay quite a few eggs, like I've told you before, up to 6. But the ones that hatch first, because remember she starts incubating. somebody was actually just asking about how many eggs they have. Like I said, it's just between 1 and 6. It's generally about 3. And because she starts incubating the eggs as soon as she lays them. So as soon as the first one is laid, she'll already start incubating, but she'll continue to produce eggs every few days. So that first egg that was laid will usually hatch first, for obvious reasons. It's been incubated for longer, and it is those few days older. Many animals will produce more than they can take care of, and that's a strategy to make sure that somebody survives. Last year, I don't know how many eggs she produced, but only one of her offspring we saw. So maybe this year we'll get lucky with a few more. She looks really good, don't you think? She looks healthy. Not that I'm any expert in owl health, but she looks good. You can see very nicely her face and all those very owly features.
Our male giraffe is still persistent, courting her, sniffing, and also trying maybe to make her stop, but she's not willing to stop. So wherever she goes, he will still follow. And I think even if she walks into the forest, this male will not hesitate, he'll still follow. Look at what's happening, he's sniffing to see if she's ready to mate, and then do a grimace, get into that Jacob's organ, which analyzes the scent of females. It's interesting how he keeps on persisting. And it's actually interesting to watch, because if he wants to herd her back to where he wants, he will actually move out a little bit and then follow. Yes, I want you to stop. As soon as she stops to watch or look around, he does the same. See the impala, they look like miniature creatures. Just imagine how tall the giraffe is. Oh, what's happening with the impalas there? You can barely tell those are actually antelopes because of the height of the giraffe. See, this is what happens. Small antelopes will gather around giraffe, and because the giraffe is staring, they're also staring at that direction, simply because there's a predator. And that is what they get as an advantage when the giraffes are staring to one direction. Because if the predator decided to come, then they have no chance of getting this impala. A typical association of animals in the open grassland with giraffes, which help them with their sight and vision. See how they're flashing off their white tails?
Well, we're just having the most amazing time here, and I'm sorry about that sudden departure from Mara, but that is what happens when you are broadcasting in high definition from the wilderness. Really interestingly, Hart almost let the little one suckle from her. Now, I've seen it a few times where a cub that doesn't belong to a particular lactating female has tried to suckle, and normally the female will kick the little one away. But in this case, Hart did nothing, and I think there was a perfunctory attempt at suckling by Corky's little one, and then she just kind of gave up. But you can see that Harts are still very hungry indeed. The entire western side of this den is now bathed in glorious golden evening light. Corny babe, what normally happens if there's any danger at a hyena den like this, what happens is that the cubs run back inside and the mother just runs away. So there's never much physical protecting of them. And that's because there are very few predators that could get down into the den and do harm to the babies. So, I mean, she'll protect the other cubs, I guess, as much as she'll protect her own, to a certain extent. But there isn't a great deal, like if a lion came here, these cubs would disappear inside. She would run away. She wouldn't stand and face the lion, regardless of whether it was only her cubs or another one's cubs. Things are nice and calm here, but they could get a little more busy as evening falls.
So look what we have here. Spot.
And you're back. Here we are. They still have a puddle of hyenas to look at, so that's good. That's very sweet. Now, I said earlier that the most dominant cubs are very gentle with the little one, and they continue to be. They don't bully her at all or push her around. I mean, maybe they do sometimes, but I certainly haven't seen it here. I'd say that was relatively unusual. She's not too afraid to approach them, headbutt them. So much beautiful bird song around. Kirov, they'll stay with the clan. Oh, until they're probably around a year old. And they'll probably start to wander. If they are both boys, which I think they are. And they'll start to move away from the den around 8 months or so, but they'll still come back here from time to time. I think it's possible, however, in fact it's most likely the males. The male cubs would only truly leave the clan after 2 years or so, at least. But we have seen young hyenas leave a clan long before that. You can see that even though they're very confident, they don't like the sound of a vehicle initially, and so they're hyper alert and hyper keen to get away from any potential danger. And so although it looks like they're just having a good time and playing around and not really worrying about anything, as soon as there's any disturbance that is slightly unfamiliar, they all scarper for the safety of the whole. Now the percussion section has joined. I don't know if you can hear that. A woodpecker playing the blocks. And in the background, a few elephants as well, making loud, groaning, dinosauric noises. And so I think we'll just sit here and enjoy the magnificence of the hyena den.
So nothing of as yet. And while we are here on this specific day and while we visited days before is because we've got this cold period that we're going through. Normally midday temperatures, this little animal would be underground in its little underground burrow system. But through colder periods, this animal will utilize the beautiful warmth that is given off from that big burning ball, our nearest star, the sun. So having a gap like this and seeing opportunities as a guide, you have to take every opportunity as it presents, and things change constantly. So that's why we're here and we're waiting it out in case of that hopeful chance that something comes out. If we're unsuccessful today, we will definitely be here tomorrow morning very early. Typically they are active under the cover of darkness, and then you do have a greater chance of catching this animal when it is coming back to the den. If they're actively denning, that means the female will stay here and the male will actually provision food for her through a certain period. So having this cool period, we thought we'd come check it out, we'd come make sure that there is activity of this little animal here and that we know we're not wasting our time. So as I said, if we're not successful today, definitely tomorrow morning, first light, we are here.
We have a mixed herd here. We have zebras grazing while we have some impalas chasing one another. We have the dominant ram in the harem trying to chase off the bachelors. Look at him, how he's trying to herd them to keep them off from the bachelors. Quite interesting. And if one goes astray, he'll just carry on and bring them back to where he wants them to be. Now, this close association is very, very important when you find the zebras and impalas, and sometimes also with the giraffe that have already left here. Good for security reasons. But in the open grass, this is where they prefer, because they have a 360-degree angle, watch or lookout. So these rams always hang around with these ewes, not for long. Actually, during the mating season, see he's kicking off, chasing off the young ram there. They're not always welcome in the harem. So during the mating season, some of those that he's actually chasing them off will come and fight him off from the harem. And because, look at what he's doing, he keeps on watching over the ewes while the rest are eating. So during the mating season, it's so intense that he's not always eating. And sometimes he gets weak. And that can prompt him to be kicked out by these other rams. Sometimes those fights can be vicious. You end up seeing others dying, breaking their horns, and they will later on be by themselves. Little bit of an evening run there. Keep dreaming. Thank you so much for your question. No, the zebras, different species cannot breed. Actually, they cannot breed because each and every species is dominant for their own species. So actually, no, they cannot breed. So only particular species breed amongst themselves. So this, the common zebra or the Burchell zebra, will only breed within or the same species. I think these ones have been left out by the other herd that was here about 3 days ago. But I'm sure they will soon be joining the rest of the migrants or the nomads heading back to Serengeti. We're going to send you over to another safari vehicle.
Now, some interesting information in from Michael Fleetwood, who is one of our resident hyena experts, virtually resident hyena experts. He's pointed out that we have seen lower-ranking hyenas, both in the Mara and here, being forced to, well, not forced, but acquiescing to being suckled on from higher-ranking cubs. And we watched it last year. Let me just find this tweet, Michael, if you don't mind. I will find your tweet, because it's very helpful to me. Very, very helpful indeed. So Michael says, we saw the situation play out with Sutu and her sister and Ribbon. So in 2019, we saw Sutu and her late sister Tswana suckle from Ribbon, who was at that stage the lowest ranking and below their mother June, and force Pedi, or her sibling, to wait. That's been observed in the Mara also, where high-ranked cub suckles from a low-ranked mother. So what's interesting here is that we haven't seen... Look, Corky's cub went for a teat, probably spent about 10 seconds trying to suckle from Hart, and Hart did nothing to try and stop her. But Corky's cub didn't persist, so I don't know why she didn't persist. And what's really interesting is that, of course, Corky belongs to supposedly the lowest ranking member of the clan now, but Corky was once a matriarch. And so I'm not convinced entirely that she automatically becomes the lowest ranker. And, well, I mean, Ribbon was the lowest ranker until she beat Corky up and took over her place. So I wonder if the hierarchy is slightly flatter than might be expected, given the takeovers. I don't know. I could be talking utter garbage, but I think it's quite interesting to think about. Thank you, Michael. Again. You'll notice how Hart is looking around all the time, hyper-aware that there could be danger, and possibly also hyper-aware that only one cub is feeding currently. Remember also that hyenas only have 2 nipples. They only have 2 teats, or biologically 2 inguinal mammae, which is quite unusual for carnivores. Dogs have got seemingly hundreds. It isn't hundreds, I think it's 8. And lions have got 4. So it's unusual. So we'll see if the other one comes out to suckle. Righty. We are not going to move. We're going to stay precisely where we are because I'm really enjoying this and nobody has found the track of any other kind of animal. And so we'll just stay and enjoy. I'm sure no one is objecting. Little one has now mountaineered its way all the way to the top, right up top. And now climbed down the other side. Slowly the sounds are starting to change, the light is starting to drop. And the crickets are becoming a little bit louder. Robins are starting their evening call. It's just gorgeous. Very lucky to be here. Hello? Who's this?
So we are currently here at Pride Lands with this spotted hyena. It seems like either we're gonna have like new cubs soon, or this female or alpha female, she's pregnant now. It's just unfortunate she's lying down, but the moment that she was still up, you could see that she's very, very big. I mean, apart from being that a female hyena are the one within the clan, are the one that are big and massive and all that kind of things. In this particular one, she's very, very big. However, if you look a little bit on the right, you see there's some holes in this termite mound where we are not really sure whether there's a new den that's active now or this lady, she separated herself from the other hyenas so she can give birth. We're not really sure. There's no sign yet of her young cubs, but I'm hoping and crossing my fingers that soon we have some beautiful hyena cubs. Just something really I found that was very interesting, that yes, it's a big termite mound. We just saw 2 warthog that just left on the other side of this big termite mound that it seems they're sharing with this spotted hyena. And I just find how animal will live in peace and sharing resources. I mean, just from one animal digging for ants or termites in this big, huge mound that the fungus growing termites made, and ATFA come feed, dig, and then later on, I think I read somewhere the other day that about 90 different species would benefit from all these holes that ATFA would dig, feed, or either utilize as their home and just leave them just like that. Please do comment or leave any question. Just don't forget to Mr. Novel, so hyena is one of the best trackers, and I guess that's why they are a good, or one of the good animal in scavenging. However, they can also hunt on their own. But answering your question, hyena's sense of smell, it is so good. It is extremely good, and also hearing. As you can see, they're round ears, almost like a satellite dish. Like, it just makes them to hear more sound from a long, vast distance. It seems like something caught her attention. Maybe it's those warthog that just left, because they just went in the direction of where she's currently facing. So I'm just gonna chill here with Seb and see if they are youngsters or the mom or this alpha female. It seems if she's pregnant or not, and we see what will come up.
So much excitement at this time of the year. Possibility of babies or already babies. Hope that we'll be lucky there. Well, we've been lucky here in spotting a new chameleon friend in the daylight, which is quite awesome. There it is. We're only about 50 meters south of where the chameleon we're used to, Fernando, resides in his guarri bush, or her guarri bush. And now this one has its own guarri bush. I love seeing them during the day, and it's difficult unless you know where they are. So that's why it's quite nice that we found this one, because with the daylight you can see the color variations really nicely, how they have decided to color themselves at that time. Fernando is super bright, very, very bright green, even a little yellowy, it's so bright. This one is quite a dull green, and you can see that the ridge on its back, as well as the little ridges that line its flap, are quite dark. Really nice find. This means that we can see this chameleon at other times. It's probably not used to too many people stopping to look at it. Oh, everyone's saying they love chameleons. That makes me so happy. So happy, because I absolutely adore them. You can do it. Look at its phenomenal skin. You can see those toes are fused to give that typical chameleon look. So cautious. It really gives a new meaning to the phrase, "I've got an eye on you." Gorgeous.
just managed to find this herd of elephants. And they're slowly but surely feeding in and amongst these large terminalia trees that are scattered around us. But we're in a small clearing where it seems like the majority of the herd has stopped for a brief moment, and then they've all continued into the bushes. But what's been really special is, I know there's been lots of elephants seen on the show this afternoon, but this is such a case in point in that every elephant or every sighting that we see, although it might be the same animal, there's something unique about it. And the unique thing for me about this sighting is the sunset that we have. So Owen will slowly pan around and just look at those clouds that we're experiencing. So we've been sitting watching these elephants, and the sun has actually been stealing the show. We've been spending more time looking at the sunset than we have at the elephants. And you can see why. Look at the colors that's there. It's a beautiful ball of red that's moving through the terminalia thickets now. And within the next couple of minutes, we'll probably lose the sun altogether. And very interesting clouds. It's almost like a big layer with small little patches. And then off to the north of us, so almost directly to the right of the sun, we've been seeing this very dark grey cloud moving in, and we've been hearing some thunder and lightning, and so this is as good as summer gets. I think it has officially arrived in the Lowveld. And so hopefully we get the beautiful big thunderstorm rolling through sometime later on this evening. And see, that's the general direction that the herd has been moving, so away from us. There have been a few little ones, but the majority of the herd has been quite large, and so it seems like it's a group that has gone down to drink, and I think they'll be spending the majority of the evening feeding in the direction that they're heading now.
I'm kind of expecting there to be an arrival of the other mothers around about sundown, which is nowish. So far, not much, just a bit of playing about. And still only one cub suckling from a heart, which I find quite interesting. Not disturbingly so, but just quite interesting. Here comes another adult. Big adult. Is that Rybone? No, I don't think that's Rybone. Is it maybe Corky? I think it's Corky. Although I haven't seen Corky for so long, I couldn't be sure. Very fat, whoever it is. Let's see what happens. It doesn't seem as if anyone else has noticed her arrival yet. Mr. Novel, depends entirely on where you are. In the Masai Mara, 70. Here was the last count of the North Clan, and this clan's had around 15 fairly consistently for the last little while, so it really depends on where you are. Now, interestingly, Corky's cub is looking very nervous. I've no doubt there are a number of you screaming into the internet as to who this is. Let's just see what happens as she approaches. No, it's not Corky. The ears are wrong, I think. Definitely not Corky. You see, their ears get all destroyed. Yeah, maybe it's Corky. Well, stuck in bed, hyenas' teeth are special in so much as they are relatively blunt, but very kind of chisel-like. So that if you look at the canines on young hart there, you'll see that they are not sharp like a lion's or like a leopard's, but they're more chisel-like for crushing. There we go. Good afternoon. Yes, it's Corky. Hooray. All of you confirming, as I confirmed for myself, with the approach of the little one. Being very friendly to her. Arch, interestingly, chasing off the dominant cubs. Corky's not looking vaguely cowed by anything. Tell you what, if I was Ribbon, I would be relatively nervous that Corky was plotting a takeover again. I'd love to see the two of them together. Sweet. Remember how, I'm not sure how many of you were watching, I'm sure most of you, but you remember how beaten up Corky was? She could not walk. We had made all sorts of predictions about what had happened to her, and she'd broken a hip or had one dislocated, and there was a broken bone in the front leg, definitely. And we had that one sighting of her with Tundi the leopardess, and Tundi just at sort of eye level to the hyena, didn't even react. Could see she was so injured that there was no harm coming her way at all, and just hissed at Corky, and Corky kind of backed off. And now she looks fit as a fiddle. Doesn't look vaguely like she's experienced any trauma whatsoever. Jenna, it is common for newborn hyenas to fight each other. Just let this play out before I answer. See, now I interpret this as Hart and Corky being pretty equi-ranked. So, Jenna, yes, it is common for them to fight. It's not nearly as common as people used to say for canism to occur. In fact, it's apparently fairly rare. And so this whole idea that two youngsters born to of the same mother, especially if they're female, and especially if the female is the matriarch, will kill each other. There's no what they call obligate siblicide. In fact, it's probably relatively uncommon. I don't know how many people I've told that it happens to. Indeed, on this show, until we found it was just not happening when we thought it would be. And then Jamie found a lovely paper that really put the myth to bed. And it does happen every so often, but it's really not common at all. And being able to question things is what makes this so special.
Okay. Let's hope they're not going to run away. Here we are with the wildebeest. It's just moving away from us. As you can see around the corner. I was trying to reposition, trying to move slightly forward. Wow, looks like they're completely gone. So trying to move slightly forward, trying to get a here we go. We just have a lovely sighting of the wildebeest. They're just moving over from us. As you can see, 3 of them now already. I think it's just because it's so much windy today. They just trying to go in a place where they can be able to hide away from that wind. We just lost them completely now. So just as we start coming around the corner, they're all just gone. So we'll just continue to try find something else because they look quite skittish. But I can understand why. Because of that windy, they need to be able to hear if there's anything else coming around to them. So we'll just keep on moving around, search, see what we can find.
So we come across a young male lion here, seated here by himself, and I'm sure members of his pride are not far from here. Earlier on in the show, we saw part of the Olololo pride, and this comes from the Olololo pride. It's getting late, dark, and I'm sure the rest of the females, the lionesses around here, will be going for a hunt. Another thing is we are close to the river pride where they had their calves. So soon this guy is not going to be welcome. And being this close to where the calves are, I'm sure the mothers are not very, very happy with his presence. So look at him. He's about 3 years old, so good time for him to go fend for himself and maybe join other males within this pride to go and take over or bring up their own families in another pride. But at this time and age, he's still not yet kicked out, so they'll welcome him back, and when they have something to eat, he can sometimes join them. We have a bright moon. Very, very beautiful to see. Look at the reflection in the water. How beautiful it is. Very clear sky. Bright moon there. And I'm sure also the lion is enjoying. I like the reflection in the water. Hear lots of frogs croaking. Just like the silence of this entire area. We have elephants that are not drinking far from here we have about 10 or 15 elephants, but it's too dark for us to see right now. It is interesting that the moon is about 384,400 kilometers away from the Earth. Can you imagine that? Oh, I just had the lion growl there. I'm sure he's not welcome. But as we enjoy this moon, I'm just going to try slowly to reposition, see if we can see these lions or maybe see what's happening. One of the lions there is not happy with this guy. Yes, the one there. And I think maybe she might have the cubs, or the mother with the cubs. Simply because these youngsters, sometimes when they play with the young cubs, they might harm them, even though they are from the same pride. Lionesses don't like or don't tolerate youngsters near their small cubs. See the way he's looking at his mom? So the lioness is off. I was just going to drive slowly, see if we can come across the nocturnals.
Wish you lots of luck, Tim, coming across a nocturnal. It's always a treat coming across a nocturnal. So we've just left the little Cape Fox den and we've come to check on this nest site. In the middle of that camel thorn, there is quite a lot of sticks. Platform could be anywhere from 500 to 800 millimeters and about 250 millimeters deep. Majority, obviously, large sticks to create the nest, and then the nest would be lined with various pieces of material, from elephant dung, I've read in the time, to plastic even at some times. But we'll be visiting here in the next few days just to see if this pair is actively maintaining and getting this nest ready for any potential eggs, which will be very exciting. I love leading up onto something, because if you can start following up an animal and watch and understand the development of something unfolding in front of you, it's always a beautiful story and something that I hold very true to myself. Watching and understanding and have the privilege of being in an environment like this is absolutely magical. So we'll visit this nest over the next couple of days, and as well as the other one far out west near the mother and three. We've had an update on them. Myself and Glenn tracked them yesterday. Mother and the three new little cubbies went on a long walkabout. Mom took those cubs. Myself and Glenn tracked them for nearly 7.5 kilometers. Gave me a good workout. And so she has now decided that this is the period where those little ones need to start really stretching their legs and understanding what it is to be a Kalahari cheetah. They travel great distances. Some cheetah in the more northwestern parts of southern Africa have been clocked of having a home range of over 1,000 square kilometers. An animal moving 1,000 square kilometers in its home range is incredible. That's a great distance. And moving through vast terrain like this is only but something that they have to deal with in their life. Animals are sparsely set over here in this open environment. So hopefully we'll have luck in the next few days, and we can see a little bit of maintenance and a little bit of development from this nest, which will be really nice. Hopefully you guys have had a great afternoon, and this is something hopefully we can have in the pocket for us. But how is the light? This later part of the afternoon becomes really beautiful. Wow, I love those trees too. That is my favorite tree. Coming from the Eastern Cape, where tree diversity is on another level, it's part of a vegetative group called the thicket biome. We are currently in the savanna biome, And coming from the Eastern Cape, where tree diversity is extremely diverse, obviously trees are something that I hold dear to me. But coming here to Tswalu and living in this environment and working here for the past couple of years, this tree has definitely become my favorite. There's some that give me the impression of like bonsais. Some of them grow like overgrown bonsais. They are truly magnificent trees. And we were looking back on a bit of information, and myself and Glenn will try and piece it together on how you guys can see. But a tree at 4 meters will be 11 years old. A tree at 11 meters will be 40 years old. A tree over that would be over a century. So they are really long-lived organisms.
Got some lovely elephants. Always enjoying my time with them. You can see that this female in front of us is missing one tusk. I'm just going to be quiet for a little bit. I need to listen to something. Franklin's shouting quite a bit, but I heard a deep rumble in the background. It was James's vehicle going past me. So not the last-minute leopard I was hoping for, but for some last-minute Ellie friends. Yes, came up with that all by myself. Oh, Biggie, there's the little one. Just on the left, it's gonna come pop out now. It's so little. Hello, Tiny. You can hear this crested Franklin's going, but also around this time they start fighting for roosting spots and all of that, so it can be a little bit unreliable. I was saying that this female is missing a tusk, and you can't actually see a break, so I wonder if she either is a youngster, maybe it didn't develop one on that side, which is very unusual, or more likely looks like it has fallen out. Now normally if it's broken and we can't see it, you can still kind of see a very obvious shape underneath the gum. Now hers is pretty flat, so I wonder if it's fallen out. Maybe she had an infection, kind of like an infected tooth, and it fell out, which must have been super painful. But she still must have been... Oh, sorry guys, I'm hearing things. I'm hearing impala alarm calls, but they are accompanied by the of the impala rams, so they're probably not that serious. At least we have these lovely Ellies to close the show with, which I'm very, very happy about. We've been so lucky with our elephant sightings. So lucky. Such wonderful interactions. Lots of babies. Look how it's getting cooler, so the ears of this little one are against its body now. Try and conserve some heat. This one is about a year old. Oh, Mum, you're bumping into your little one. That's quite a funny way to be feeding. Really, really cute. Oh, well, guys, it's that time. where we have to say our goodbyes and especially our thank yous. Thank you so much for your questions, your comments, and watching. As usual, we'll see you in the morning for Sunrise Safari. Bye-bye for now.